Okay, from here starts the speaking test. This is the speaking test of the International English Language Testing System taking place in Ross IELTS Academy. The candidate is Fernando Alonso Lopez, candidate number 014327H. The examiner is Magnus Shafi, examiner number 443533. Good afternoon. My name is Magnus Shafi. Would you please tell me your full name?
Sure. My full name is Fernando Alonso Lopez Velasco.
What can I call you?
You can call me Fair.
Fair, sure. And Fair, can I see your identification, please?
Sure.
Thank you very much. Great. Thank you.
Welcome.
Very well. So we can now get started with the first part of the exam. In the first part, I will ask you some personal questions. First, let's talk about your accommodation. Do you like a house or a flat?
To be honest, I prefer to living in a house than a flat. As in a flat that will take me to live with around people. Like I really don't like neighbors. I like spacious places, so that's why houses have. I like having my own bathroom, and the house I'm living in right now it's pretty big, so I always like houses.
Perfect. And how long have you lived there in your house?
I've been living there like for 5 years so far. As I said, it's my grandparents' house. It's pretty big, spacious at the back. It has like a big yard. It also has like a separate place from my bedroom, which is like crossing the yard.
Okay, great. And do you plan to live there for a long time?
I'm not really sure about it. I would like to have my own place at some point. So I think I will be working right now more time, unless I have enough money to buy my own place.
Thank you very much. Now let's talk about music. Do you like listening to music?
I do love listening to music. I think music basically cures your soul. I love listening to music after work and before I go to sleep, especially to catchy tunes.
And how much time do you spend listening to music every day?
I have thought about that until now. I guess that I listen to around like 2-3 hours of music a day. That especially when I'm working, but I try not to work with songs that I can sing, because that would distract me.
Great. And do you also like to listen to live music?
Honestly, I don't, because when I listen to live music, you can hear all the people singing or trying to then you can listen to encore, and I don't like it. But basically, I love when it's like a band that I do like, a singer.
Great. Perfect. Now let's move on to talk about travel. Do you like traveling?
I do love traveling. I love knowing new places, meeting new people, making new relationships. That's like just. I imagine that I can have a friend in another country that at some point this friend can just say, "Come on and spend your summer here."
Great. And do you often travel by air?
Not as much as I would like to, but I do like traveling by air. However, I don't like turbulence because that makes me feel nauseous and sick sometimes.
And which country would you like to travel to in the future?
Actually, there are 2 countries that I would love to visit at some point. One is Italy, and the other one is Japan. Japan, especially for their cuisine, because I love Asian food here in my city. I like trying that kind of food, so I would like to try the original one.
Great. Thank you very much. Great. Now we are done with the first part of the exam, so we can move on to the second part. So, in the second part, I will give you a card with a topic, and you will have to talk about this topic for 2 minutes. But before you do so, you will have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say, and you can make some notes to help you if you wish. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Perfect. So now I'm giving you your cue card and a piece of paper for you with a pen to make notes. And in this part, I would like you to describe an ambition that you have had for a long time. So here you go with the cue card. Here's the paper to make notes. And here's your pen.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So now you have 1 minute to think about this topic and it starts now. Okay, now your 1 minute is over and you may talk about this topic for 2 minutes, but do not worry if I stop you. So you may start talking now.
All right. Well, this is kind of funny because when I was writing this, a lot of things came to my mind, but I chose this specific one. Um, I am planning to participate in a dancing contest in February, which is kind of curious. I didn't dance before. Like, I started dancing like 4 years ago. Before that, I thought that I was not able to dance. I was actually in parties, sitting down and just watching people. And when people invited me, I was saying that no, I'm not able to. I don't like it. But this actually took me out of my comfort zone. It was pretty funny the way it worked out. Um, and I think that just participating in this contest will move me to another level in my life. I'm gonna create like evidence that I can do things that I have always thought that I was not useful or good at. So I have been I have been practicing for this contest for the last 3 months. So it's kind of difficult because not a practice actually, but it's more than being in front of a lot of people, getting all these comments and I don't know, like not knowing what they're thinking about me dancing. Um, it's kind of like curious because I am used to being in front of people because that's what I've been doing for 10 years in my life. That's my job. But this is different because this is not what I'm comfortable with. So this ambition is important for what I said. It's going to, I think I'm going to feel that I'm growing as a person.
Thank you very much. Now your 2 minutes is over. Okay, great. Can you please hand me back the cue card? Thank you so much. Wonderful. Okay, now that you're done with the second part of the exam, we can move on to the third part. So, in the second part, you talked about an ambition that you have had for a long time. And now in part 3, I want to ask you some questions related to this topic. Do you share your ambitions with other people?
Yes, I do. But as I am a shy person or not a very extrovert person, I do share my ambitions with very specific people in my life, especially family and friends.
And which one do you prefer, like sharing the ambitions and your thoughts with your friends or with your family members?
I think that depends on the thing that I want to share. Sometimes it's easier to share with friends. I expecting like they're gonna say something about it useful, maybe giving some recommendations. On the other hand, your family gives you a different kind of information, like, or they talk to you in a different way, maybe because it's your family. So I don't know. I think it depends on the how I feel, like what kind of information I want from.
Okay, and how about the children? Do you think that children should consult their parents before setting their goals?
Well, it's funny because children, what kind of goals would they have? Like being a firefighter, maybe policeman, an astronaut. I think it's a little bit different from the goals that we have as adults.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And
uh,
how about the people in your country? What kinds of ambitions do they normally have? Like where you live now?
I think here where I live, people just want to be happy. Like from the last 10 years, I think people's minds and people's thoughts have changed. I think people just see themselves in the future with just being happy. Like, I don't care how, I don't care about money, I don't care about what job I'm performing. I just want to be happy.
And now that we're talking about accomplishments and being happy, let's talk a bit about failures. So, what can be the result of failures in your idea?
That's a kind of interesting question because failing it's a very important part in your life. I think everybody has failed at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And you can either learn from it or just cry about it. But at the end, it's just experience that you learn. Um, you just want to take it on the positive way or the negative way. You can take it on the positive way. You just grow as a person. You become more mature.
But what if some people do not have any ambitions? Like, do you think that without any ambitions, our growth may come to a standstill or nothing will change in a negative way?
I think they will stay wherever they are. I don't think that's negative, but they're not going to know like what the life has for them. Um, I think when you don't have ambitions, goals that take you out of your comfort zone, as I said before, you're just gonna be there in an known place where nothing happens.
So, why do some people lose their ambitions gradually as they grow older?
Because it's more comfortable. Just stay there where you are. And it's scary. Try to look for a new uh, personal growth. Personal growth hurts. That's for sure. Going to the psychology, therapy, coaching. So because they will always ask you and recommend you that you can try different things, but people that is not ready, they just won't.
Thank you very much. Great. Now, this is the end of the speaking test. And I will just need a minute or two to add up your score in different criteria, and then I'll give you the feedback based on those criteria. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Speaking Course. This course is made up of 5 offline speaking videos in which you will learn all the necessary tips and techniques to take the IELTS speaking test with a high score.
Tell me about your family. Do you like...
In addition to that, you will have access to useful grammar and vocabulary resources. Once you finish your course, you will have 1 online mock test of speaking along with comprehensive feedback under the same exam conditions.
Interesting question.
Join us to become our next successful candidate.
Okay, now let's see what you did. But before I get it started, I would like you to tell me, what do you think of your performance? Like, was it a familiar topic to you in part 1, part 2, and part 3, or it was kind of difficult to answer the questions?
Well, the first questions were easy. I found them kind of easy. But the second part, I was not sure about what ambition I was going to talk about. So it took me a while to think about that one.
Well, you managed to do well. Like you talked about one of your ambitions and you covered the bullet points and you covered the 2 minutes. So yeah. Okay, I want to start with the first criteria to talk about your fluency and coherence. I can say that what I liked about your fluency and coherence, the first thing, was how you were developing the topic. Like whatever question I was asking you, whether it was familiar or unfamiliar, you were able to give explanations and examples on that. As you said, part one was easier because normally part one is all about, always, part one is about short questions and short answers. So you find it much easier to answer some personal questions. But part two, yeah, I do agree with you. It's much harder because you have to cover the 2 minutes and you have to cover the bullet points. And you did so. So how you answered the questions and how you covered your ideas, I really liked that. And you had some hesitations, especially in part two, because you were trying to come up with the next idea. But your hesitations were mostly content related, like it was because you were trying to think of the next idea you want to elaborate on. And you had some self-repetition in part two and part three, like you repeated several words or several ideas. Maybe you could just refer to some newer ideas. But basically, I can say that what you did regarding your fluency and coherence was really good. And of course, as the last thing that I should mention here, I can refer to the range of connectives and discourse markers that you are naturally using. For example, you use the words also, either this one or the other one, basically at some point, on the other hand, as, unless, however. So it was really good how you were using these words in all the three parts and not just one part. It was used very flexibly and naturally, and that was a good performance. Now to talk about your lexical resource, your vocabulary. I can say that how naturally you were using the fillers and boosters to start your answer or to buy some time to just move on to the next idea was really good. And you were kind of paraphrasing the question I was asking you, or even your own words or structures that you were using. And I could also hear some less common idiomatic vocabulary and collocations in different topics. For example, you use the word spacious instead of big, like a spacious house, spacious place of my own. And also something comes to my mind to take out of the comfort zone, something worked out, or the personal growth. So you refer to these words to give more explanations on your answers, and that was a good one. Maybe just you could use more idiomatic vocabulary and reduce your self-repetition by using a wider range of words to talk about the topics. And now to talk about your grammatical range and accuracy. Your grammar, I can say that is really to the point and neat. The way you're using the complex grammatical structures and a range of tenses. Like you showed awareness to the different styles and the different tenses. I could hear present perfect continuous. You just like talked about the chain of events that happened to you from past to the present to the future. So that's a very good thing. And the most important thing here is that you were error-free when you were giving me those sentences. There are some minor mistakes here and there, but generally, how you use the grammatical structures was really good. And finally, to talk about your pronunciation. I can say about your pronunciation that how you were using the pronunciation features was really, really good because it was all natural. You were not trying to speak too fast or too slowly, or maybe use an accent or the intonation that is not really correct. So, for example, the pace of your speech was fine, and the hesitations were not really negatively impacting how you were speaking to me. Your intonation, how you were playing with your voice naturally, and how you were linking up some sounds or some words, that was also a good one. And your own accent had no negative impact on being understood, and everything was clear here to understand. So this is Also about your pronunciation. Generally, I can say that I liked your performance, even if you said that maybe the first part was kind of unfamiliar and I didn't know what to say. But anyways, you maybe by going off the topic or faking your answer or referring to something just to keep talking and having that flow of a speech, you did a really, really great job.